Thanks for watching Four Color Commentary. I'm Mark Allen, and I want to talk about Spider-Man: Brand New Day. And there may be spoilers ahead, and so you want to be very careful if you haven't seen it yet. Go see it and then come back and watch this because I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do. In fact, I'm just going to say spoilers ahead. It's not my intention, but it's going to happen. Okay. Brought out a couple of my Spider-Man pieces here. The 1980 Coca-Cola poster and or is that Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola? Coca-Cola poster and my Mark my who did that? Oh, Rich Buckler, my Rich Buckler Spider-Man piece. Anyway, so my youngest son-in-law, I saw Spider-Man: Brand New Day a few days ago. It was fantastic. Um, and I want to comment just a little bit about Marvel still being able to do great movies. The Spider-Man franchise, this being the fourth Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, they just do really well, including this one and the one before, No Way Home. And my son, my 16-year-old son, made a really interesting observation when he said, this felt like a Spider-Man movie. He said the last movie, though it was good, with the other two Spider-Man in it, it felt like he said it felt like an Avengers movie. You had the other two Spider-Man, you had Doctor Strange, and it felt more kind of like an Avengers movie. And I see his point. I wouldn't have thought of that, but I thought that was a really good observation. But I see his point. But what was some of the things that were very cool about this movie was there's no doubt it was a Spider-Man movie. Now, Peter Parker wasn't as much as some people have commented. He wasn't as ground level, street level, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man as some intimated or implied. He still had the tech. It wasn't Stark tech. It was Peter Parker tech. Okay. But he still had the tech and it was very cool, but he was more of a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. But with his interaction with the, uh, the Punisher, a couple of things. You know, I know some people bemoan the fact that the Punisher was going to be used in a PG-13 Spider-Man movie. I don't get that. Not if you know the history of the Punisher. Punisher was created in the Bronze Age, and the Punisher, like it or not, was a great character when he was first used in Amazing Spider-Man. With I imagine Jerry Conway on the writing. I know Ross Andrew doing the pencils on his first appearance, but I believe that's right. But I know his second appearance, the issue with Nightcrawler, and I don't remember which Amazing Spider-Man that is, but I have it. But he was at best PG. Those were Bronze Age Amazing Spider-Man comic books. There were great reads. There were lots of fun, and the Punisher was still gritty. And so some people bemoan the fact that he would not be able to be the R-rated Punisher with his language and everything. Now, there was lots of cursing, more than I would have liked. But at one point, there's a great scene where he tries to use MFer and gets a mouthful of webs from Peter, and it's just kind of funny. But I don't get the complaint of a PG-13 Punisher because guess what? At his inception, he was PG at best. So take that for what it is. But the character, the chemistry between the two characters was fantastic. I loved it, and they did things with the Punisher that I don't think have been done with that version of the Punisher to this point. He was actually funny, and he showed some human weakness. There was a scene in the movie where Spider-Man Peter just asked him. He said, "Are you just trying to get out of fighting the Hulk?" And the Punisher basically said, "Yeah, yeah, I am." So there was some humor, there was some weakness. They allowed some humanity in the Punisher, some weakness there, and so it was a lot of fun. As far as the use of the Jean Grey character, yes, like I said, spoilers. I really liked it. I liked that she appeared to be. In fact, I was a little bit worried. They're making her quite the villain in this movie, and then you find out why she's doing it. I won't say why, but you find out why she's doing it, and it all makes sense. She's not the villain. In fact, you get by the end of the movie, you're very sympathetic, despite some of the things that she did. And so, great use of that character. The Hulk was fantastic. In fact, Spoilers. I didn't know from the scene from the trailers that we were going to see Professor Hulk, but we did. We saw him first, and then saw the Savage Hulk, which I really hope they're back to that. But just about the whole movie being, this movie has already grossed. It grossed in its first weekend more than some other Marvel movies have grossed to this point. More than I think the Supergirl movie grossed, in its first month. But the movies just do really well, and I think the reason is you don't need a gigantic event. It mirrors this movie problem in a way. I think mirrors the comics. Um, Comics don't need big crossover events in order to be successful. In fact, in recent and not so recent years, we've seen big crossover events fail from a financial standpoint because they didn't have necessarily a great story or great characterization, and they felt like they were just with all the crossovers and all the issues and titles that you had to buy. That just felt like uh, readers were being used. We want your money. Movies are the same way. Comics need good characterization and good stories to sell. The art can even be below par in many cases, and the comic will still sell, and it will sell well. Now, some people will look at that and say, "Well, that doesn't seem right. Comics are a visual medium. They are, but story still trumps art, in my opinion." And I think sales figures prove it. Now, obviously, I would like to have superior art with superior story and superior characterization. It just doesn't always happen. But this movie had a great story and great characterization. And I really believe that's why people enjoyed it so much. And that's why, and I think the reason for it doing so well, besides anticipation, besides the last few Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, well, all of them being great and being very enjoyable and people liking that actor in that role, I think people knew from before this was going to be a great story and great characters and great motivations and believable motivations. And it was. And I think people probably went home after seeing the movie and told their friends and family, you got to see this movie. You got to see it. Okay. I think the secret to why it's doing so well is just simply that great characters, great characterization, great acting, obviously, and a great story. It doesn't have to be earth shattering, it just has to present, crisis and tension for the main character, for that in that moment and in that time. A beginning, a middle, and an end. Something coming to a an agreeable end or a satisfying end. Okay, with obviously, I mean, it's a comic book movie with room for okay, what comes next. But the Spider-Man movie was fantastic. So again, you don't need R-rated Punisher to have a good Punisher. You don't need great grand crossover events for a story to be successful. You just need good writing and you need good characters. And in the case of a movie, characterization and good actors who pour their heart into the roles. And that's what happened on every level of this movie. And lots of great cameos, lots of great, as far as the Spider-Man world, and just a lot of fun. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say about Spider-Man: Brand New Day. And I do recommend that you go see it. I will watch it. We will watch it again when it comes to Disney Plus, and I'll probably buy the DVD just for the extras and all of that good stuff. But it was great. It was a great time, a great ride. And by the way, this was the first superhero movie that my wife has seen in the theater since the last Spider-Man movie, No Way Home. And so what's that been? 3 years, 4 years? I don't remember. 3 years maybe. Anyway, she loved it. In fact, she made a point to say that she enjoyed it very much. And this from a woman who the only ongoing superhero title she ever read was the volume one of Ultimate Spider-Man. Okay, Brian Michael Bendis and Mark Bagley. I got to the point where I wasn't even buying, each issue. I was buying each trade paperback. About every 6 months or so, buy the trade, buy the trade. I would get home with my comics, and she would snatch that trade before I even got a chance to crack it open. And so it makes sense that she enjoyed this movie so much. And so anyway, that's my review, I guess, of and my experience. Not even a review. It's my experience of Spider-Man: Brand New Day. I recommend it. Go see it. And anyway, that's it for now. Hey, if you haven't, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you'd be so kind. But especially comment. I like the give and take. I like the interaction. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching Poor Color Commentary, and I'll see you next video.